play of a little girl who wanted to turn into a fairy. The little girl sat on a small stool on her front porch. Her mom and dad and sister had gone someplace without her. They asked the neighbors to check on her from time to time. Kaya was 9 years old and very pretty with beautiful brown wavy hair. She always felt like she had too much energy, and because she was always busy jumping, dancing, doing somersaults, and getting in everyone's way, she was always getting in trouble. Today, Kaya sat on the stool with her head down, crying softly and feeling very sad. The day was a bit cloudy and very quiet, which made her feel even more sad and lonely. She noticed a very low swishing sound somewhere close by to the right of her shoulder. She slowly lifted her head and saw a tiny blue light flickering in the air. It seemed to move quickly here and there. As she watched the flickering blue light, it became bigger and bigger and began to look more colorful. Kaya was fascinated with this colorful vision next to her. As she continued to watch it, it took on the shape of a small girl dressed like a fairy. Other side. Kaya was full of wonder and felt very excited about what was happening. She forgot all about feeling sad and lonely and smiled happily at the little fairy girl beside her. The fairy girl smiled at her and asked her,
"What's your name?" "My name is Kaya. What's yours?" "My name is Skaya, and I am really a fairy. And I use my magic to turn myself into a little girl. I do that sometimes when I see children that are really sad and lonely." "Could you turn me into a fairy with your magic potions? Because I don't like being a little girl. I don't want to be with my family because they think I'm too much trouble." "It would take a lot of work and energy to do that, but I could ask my fairy family to help."
Kaya looked all around and didn't see the fairy girl or the blue light anywhere. She got up off the stool and walked around the house, looking everywhere. She followed a small path that went across the backyard toward the forest. She moved quickly along the path until she got to the edge of the forest, where the trees and bushes were close together. The path continued to wind its way deep into the forest. Kaya's parents never allowed her and her sister to go into the forest alone. But Kaya was very curious about where the fairy girl disappeared to, and so she slowly followed the winding trail deep into the forest. The forest was a beautiful place with beams of sunshine coming down from the tops of the trees to touch the ground. It shined on leaves and small flowers and made them glow with their beautiful colors of green and gold and pink and purple. Kaya looked at all the beautiful colors as she followed the little path deeper and deeper into the forest. She started to feel very excited and happy and full of wonder. Suddenly, right in front of her, the blue light appeared. It began to flicker all around her, and then many more tiny flickering lights appeared in many different colors. They all seemed to move quickly along the path in front of her, and so she followed them. She came to a small bridge that went over a tiny rushing stream. She knew that all the flickering lights that surrounded her were fairies, and she wanted very much to be one of them and join in their family. With all the excitement going on, she didn't notice that the fairy girl, Skaya, was standing right beside her. Skaya took Kaya's hand and walked with her across the bridge. When they got to the other side of the stream, Skaya stepped off the path, moved through the bushes into a beautiful green grassy meadow where there were several little fairy houses tucked under the bushes along the edges. There were little paths crisscrossing the meadow. In the middle of the meadow was what looked like a gathering place with a fire ring and small benches surrounding it. Everything was which made Kaya feel very large. Skaya took Kaya to an open space in the meadow and told her to lay down on the warm grass.
Lay down on the warm grass.
She gathered some soft moss and put it under her head for a pillow. She sat down beside her and told her to close her eyes.
Close your eyes and relax.
Then she lightly sprinkled some fairy dust all around her. Then she quickly turned herself into the little blue fairy light that she really was and joined in with all the other fairies. Meanwhile, Kaya had fallen into a deep, deep sleep. The fairies went about doing their daily chores, taking care of all the trees and plants and flowers around them in their forest home. They were always friendly to the many small animals that came around looking for food. As the morning turned into afternoon, Kaya stayed asleep on the soft grass in the meadow. As she lay there sleeping, she dreamed of fairies, and she dreamed that she was a fairy. When the fairies finished their chores in the forest, they came together in the middle of the meadow. It was late in the afternoon, and they needed to prepare their magic potions so they could change Kaya into a real fairy. When they finished making their potions, they went over to where Kaya was sleeping. They circled around her, singing and chanting magical words.
Love, 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 love. Forgiveness starts with love. Add a little kindness, and then you always stop the way. Love, 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 love. Forgiveness
They
starts with
chanted the
love.
song together while using their little magic wands, to spread the magic potion in the air all around Kaya as she lay sleeping. When they had used up all the magic potion, they built a small fire in the middle of the meadow.
What's this name, Mommy?
Then they worked very quickly to make special food and treats for a very special fairy party for Kaya, because Kaya was going to become a very special fairy. It was late afternoon and the sun was moving lower and lower in the sky. Soon it would be dark and they would wake up Kaya and celebrate her birth into their fairy family. They were all very excited to have her join their family. The fairies' beautiful colors flickered in the dark night sky. Everything was ready for the celebration to begin. The tables were decorated with tiny leaves and colorful little flowers. There were delicious treats of seeds and nuts and fruit and a magical drink for each fairy that came from the nearby stream. It all helped to keep their magical powers strong. Now it was time to awaken Kaya and welcome her as the newest member of their fairy family. First, they sprinkled fairy dust all around her. Then they began to see a tiny green light in the grass where she had been sleeping. And then the little green light began to flicker and lift up into the air. All the fairies made a circle around the little flickering green light and moved over to the celebration table where the bright light from the fire glowed and made all the decorations and treats around the table look like sparkling crystals. It was all very magical and everyone was excited and happy, except for Kaya. She was feeling very strange and a little uncomfortable as she felt around her body and realized how very small she was. Her back was itchy because she wasn't used to having wings. She looked around at all the tiny fairies and began to realize that she was just like them. It was dark now, and all the fairies got up and began to dance and celebrate Kaya becoming a fairy. The end.
Woo! That was amazing. You guys did a great job at that. I can
And
tell how hard
the
you worked
author
on it,
needs
too.
to bow also.